Welcome to Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game. Hi everyone, I'm your host, Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and money gamer extraordinaire. Today we're talking about the greatest gift you can give your mother with nationally recognized long-term care expert, Maria Sarchi. Well, welcome to the show, Maria.
Thank you, Steve.
Well, I'm curious now, what is the greatest gift I can give mother on Mother's Day?
The greatest gift any mother can receive on Mother's Day is the peace of mind in knowing that her later in life care will be provided and that she can live life with dignity and grace on her own terms.
So later in life, you're talking about how she's cared for.
Correct.
How important is that to a mother?
Well, I think it's important to anyone, but especially to moms. When you think about mom and her role as caregiver, someone who's raised children, taken care of a family, been out into the workforce and provided financially for her family, oftentimes mom is the one who's thinking of herself the least. And yet, at a time when she may need it most, she'll need her family around her so that she's able to be cared for in the way she'd like.
When we're talking about cared for, this is a very personal situation here, where we're talking about care. This is, I can't get from my bed to my chair. I can't use the toilet facilities any longer as I need help. When thinking about this, do I need to really start thinking about some of the what I call the worst scenarios?
Well, what I would encourage anyone to think about are scenarios which put them in a situation where they cannot be mobile on their own, they cannot dress themselves, maybe a person can't feed themselves. These activities of daily living that we all take for granted today are things, unfortunately, that go away from us as we mature. The later in life we get, the more the possibility of us not being able to care for ourselves. And so it might be a little uncomfortable to think about the fact that we can't do that, but it is simply the reality. We know that the statistics show 70% of people over the age of 65 will have some form of a care event in their lifetime. And what we want to do is just provide some solutions that can help people maintain that.
And we're starting that solution with a conversation now.
Yes.
Now, I'm curious because I've been reading, what are the financial and emotional costs? I'm thinking, if we don't talk about this and if we don't come up with some kind of a game plan, there are going to be financial costs and emotional costs.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the bad boy issue on this, because this is a tragedy that a lot of people face. They have no way of preparing for this, and they enter into a first impact scenario, some daily activity living. Something happens to them where they go, I can no longer live this way.
Yeah. You know, a long-term care event, we know that the statistics are high for having one occur, and oftentimes people are not prepared, which means that when that event happens, they're left to either rely upon family or friends to provide care to them, and that's not a long-term solution. We know that the average length of time somebody receives care in this country today is a little over 3 years. And so can you rely upon a family member or a friend to provide care for that long length of time? Most of the time, no. Sometimes, even with the best intentions, they're unable to do it because of physical challenges that can be in play. So when individuals are thinking about later in life care, and when they're thinking about the inability or the inability that they have to really provide for themselves the way that they want to, these solutions that we're talking about today, a care planning solution, long-term care insurance, they give folks great peace of mind because there is, in fact, an opportunity to remain in control, stay in your own home, pick and choose who's providing the care, and those are all wins for people at a time when they really do need it most.
Well, when we're preparing for this, we're doing this as a Mother's Day tribute, which I can't think of anything else we'd want to give our mom but the comfort of dignity and grace later on in her life, and letting her choose and pick how she wants to be cared for. I'm wondering, do most women know how they want to be cared for yet? Do they have a pretty good idea?
Well, you know, we don't have a crystal ball, so we don't know what the future holds. The one thing that I hear over and over and over is that individuals want choice. They want to be able to make choices for themselves. And so we may not be able to decide today where that care is received, but for the most part, what we hear is that people want to remain in their own homes. For the most part, we hear that they don't want to be a burden to their children. And for the most part, we hear that they want their lifestyle to continue, that they want to be able to do all the things that they enjoy doing. There was a study that came out not too long ago that said the number one concern that people have as they mature, staying connected to their family and friends. It's not necessarily about running out of money, although that was in one of the top 5, but it's more about staying connected to family and friends.
If I'm staying connected to family and friends, which is a high value ideal that you're espousing, How does that convert into caring for mom? How does that convert into caring for mother?
Well, when you think about mom who's cared for us, and now it's our turn to repay the favor, to make sure that she's comfortable and settled, the number one thing to keep in mind is include mom in your conversation. Ask her these important questions. Don't make a plan and then tell her it's done. Reach out to her and ask what things she's thinking about. What keeps her up at night? What are the things she wants to avoid about those later in life years? And then once you have her feedback, together with a long-term care planning specialist, you can come up with something that's pretty customized.
We come back from the break, we're going to talk about what to look for. If you're looking for a long-term care specialist, somebody to talk to you the way Maria's talking, we'll touch on some of these talking points and let you vet your own advisor right after the break.
Take a close look at your hard-earned dollar. How do you think your money's doing? Are you keeping an eye on it? Is it protected from taxes, inflation, and market risk? Over time, those Washingtons could become Franklins. With tax-advantaged indexed universal life, from one of the largest distributors of indexed universal life, Ash Brokerage.
Well, welcome back to the second segment. We're talking with long-term care and nationally recognized specialist, Maria Sarchi. Maria, we all know we want to go down this road, and especially when you're talking about your mom, right? We're talking about our mother. We want her to have the best that we can afford. We want to be able to give her the choices and the lifestyle she needs. But I'm looking now, mom's saying, who do I go to? Who do I know? Who am I looking for? I'm looking for an LTC specialist, a long-term care specialist, a person who knows about extended care coverage.
Right.
How do I vet a person like that? How do I know what to look for in an advisor?
Well, many advisors have dabbled in long-term care planning. They've had some experience, maybe their clients have asked them about it. It's pretty rare that I come across an agent who says, oh no, I never talk about it, or oh no, I have never heard of it. The key thing to remember is that this is a field that is changing every single day. The solutions are rich in the industry right now, probably better than they've ever been before. But the players, the solutions that we have to offer, well, they do change from time to time. And so you certainly want to work with somebody who's had experience in long-term care planning, somebody who's had experience in conversing with consumers, somebody who really understands how to pick through the stuff that we need and then the stuff that we really need where care planning is concerned. It's very easy to get caught up in what I'll call the analysis paralysis of picking a long-term care solution. So easy to look at a bunch of numbers on a page and try to decide what's best. I believe that care planning is pretty intuitive. I believe that it's personal and individual, and I believe that the consumer who's looking for the solution has to be a part of the planning discussion. And clients, consumers, are really anxious to be a part of it. More times than not, when I go out and speak at these workshops, and I ask the question about who in the room has known somebody that's received care or known somebody that's been a caregiver, almost all the hands in the room go up. And 15 years ago, that wasn't the case. So there's a greater awareness in this country about the need for care, and people are hungry for answers. They're hungry for help and guidance. And I would say that any advisor who's helping with retirement planning or insurance solutions most certainly should be including the care planning discussion as part of it.
When I'm thinking about a regular consumer that's watching our show today, and of course we're talking about moms, and moms have been caregivers all their life. There's going to come a time in mom's life when she's going to need the care. And some of us maybe live in different states. Some of her family isn't as close as she'd like them to be. So we have to anticipate that whatever advisor we're choosing and selecting, they know this area of the retirement model pretty close. You said a lot of people dabble in it. That was your phrase. But I guess if I'm looking for my mom for coverage, I'm looking for somebody that kind of knows all the issues. I think I want a specialist, because this is a very niche area of retirement planning, and I don't know if I want somebody that just dabbles in it.
Well, when you think about somebody who touches long-term care planning occasionally, there's somebody as well that has that client's best interest in mind, right? They've helped them with their retirement planning. Maybe they're their protection specialist by way of how they help to protect that retirement plan itself. And to me, care planning is just one more layer of that. So working with a specialist or working with an advisor who has access to a specialist can make all the difference. Because there are entities out there today that specialize in care planning, and they work with the advisors and their consumers. And when you look at the measure of experience that that can bring for somebody who's really trying to put a plan together, can make all the difference.
We had, a couple of years back, we had an attorney on who only deals in gerontology. That's her practice, solely that. She was so connected to healthcare givers and long-term care experts because she dealt with it all the time. When we're looking at different aspects of our continuation, we want our lifestyle to stay as close as it can. We like the way we're living. And when I'm pursuing not only the right advisor and learning how to vet the person that I want to be part of our family, because this is a family matter, right? You're really inviting an advisor into your life.
Many layers, yes.
So I want to bring this person in to help us to make the right decision. I need to make sure as a consumer that I'm actually venting or I'm talking about what I want. Now, you made this very important because I think women if you allow them to tell their story, I think they want to tell you how they feel.
And they've been caregivers themselves, so they know what it is that they want. And I would really encourage that for anybody who's looking at this segment, anybody who said, geez, I know I need to do some kind of long-term care planning, but I don't know where to begin. Start with you. Start with writing down what it is that you want and hope to achieve by going through a care planning segment itself, because it varies from person to person. And then seek out your advisor and ask the advisor if they can help you with that planning process. It's so critical. A
little side note and a sidebar conversation. Back in the day, somebody had us write down, when I first became an advisor, can you give me expectations of what you will be like at 50, at 60, at 70? And I remember coming across this on one of our moves when we moved from one place to another. And I had expectations that were completely not there. They were completely unreality. As a consumer, as we close out the show, besides these questions that we've asked, I'm looking, can I imagine myself at 90?
That's a great point, Steve. And it's a healthy exercise for everyone to go through, because it's difficult to think as you sit and watch this today of the fact that maybe you're going to be incapacitated to the point where you can't take care of yourself. Maybe there's going to be a cognitive issue there that doesn't exist today. And it's important to put yourself in that position so you can look back and say, okay, if that happens to me, here's how I want to be cared for. It's absolutely where every care discussion should start.
Maria, thank you so much for being on our show today. I really appreciate it. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank Maria Sarce for being our special guest and today's Money Mentor. And before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always consult your tax advisor or legal counsel. And remember, as the good Reverend John Wesley once said, make all you can, save all you can, give all you can. I'm Steve Savant. We'll see you next week.